Ooh, welcome back to Undefendable. We're going to be doing part 3 of Bring 3 Ban 1. Hopefully this one's going to really just be meant to talk kind of mindset and strategy going into it. Also a little bit about how it works. I have 2 decks here of all the randomized heroes, and we're ultimately just going to randomize 3, flip them over, and then roll so I can kind of walk you through how that would work and my thought process of if I were this player, and go from there. We should get some really unique situations here and really kind of see, hopefully flesh out a little bit more of this Bring 3, Ban 1 process. So let's do this. So we got 1, 2, 3 for the top player, 1, 2, 3 for the bottom player. Here we go. All right. So flip. Holy cow. Wow, this actually is a pretty decent one. So let's roll for the top player. They roll a 3, bottom player rolls a 4. So bottom player now has the option of banning first or having their opponent ban first. If you ever win the dice roll in the first part of this, always let your opponent ban first, because then you can counter ban, right? So if you win, don't be like, oh, I'm going to ban Shadow Thief, because then they get to kind of counter off of what you ban. So as the bottom player, I'm going to say, all right, Mr. Opponent, I'm going to have you ban first. If I'm looking at these matchups, right, I have Iceman and Shadow Thief, meaning I'm probably going to play Iceman or Shadow Thief against these ones. He has Paladin, Iceman, and Gunslinger. I'm not afraid of Gunslinger if I'm getting one of these S-tier champions, so I'm not banning Gunslinger. Paladin has a really good defense, so Iceman into Paladin is going to be pretty tough. Even Shadow Thief into Paladin is going to be pretty tough. So Paladin is likely going to be my ban here, because Iceman, Shadow Thief, and Iceman, I think, can go into Iceman pretty good. So basically, knowing this matchup, if I were the top player, I clicked the wrong button, I'm banning Paladin first, okay? So now as the bottom player, I'm like, okay, I'm probably going to play Iceman into this. Would I rather do a mirror match and try to win this dice roll and go first? Or would I rather test my lucky in Shadow Thief? I would rather ban Shadow Thief because I think Shadow Thief is very, very strong. And now we're left with this, right? So bottom player is going to roll 4, top player is going to roll 5. So now the top player gets to pick first, go first, or have their opponent pick first and go first. In this scenario, if I'm the top player, most scenarios, you're going to pick first, go first, because going first is just a slight advantage in Dice Throne. Now, that said, if your opponent has 2 characters and you have 2 and they really, one counters one and the other counters the other, I may let them pick first, so I know I'm not going to be countered extremely hard, right? So in this scenario, since I kind of already know what my opponent's likely going to do, I would just say I'm going to go first. I'm going to play Iceman. And as the bottom player, I don't really want Iceman going into Gunslinger. Gunslinger's defense isn't very strong. She kind of takes a little bit of time to set up, so she's just going to be literally frozen on this. She's just going to be blasted. So that would be kind of how I would go about the process, Iceman into Iceman. Not wildly sexy. No one really likes a mirror match, but that's likely how I'd go about the process. All right. So let's get 3 more. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. We'll get these all nice and sorted, and let's see what we got. Boom, boom, boom. Okay, Iceman's back. Let's roll. Bottom player rolls a 4. Top player rolls a 5. So top player is going to say, hey, I'm going to let you ban first. If I'm looking at this in mine, Huntress, okay. Let me actually pause for a second here. I apologize for all the Huntress hate, okay? I'm not a great pilot with Huntress. I haven't tried her very much, and she doesn't seem to be very popular in the competitive world right now. But with all of the feedback I've been getting, I have looked into her a little bit more. I have studied her a little bit more, and I understand where you guys are coming from. To the point where I actually wouldn't mind Huntress into Santa. Huntress into Gambit's a little scary because Gambit's really good, and Storm just needs a little bit to set up. So Storm, I think, actually beats Huntress. Storm, I don't think beats either of these two. So I'm not going to ban Storm because I'm always going to have a pick. Santa, I don't think beats any of these guys either. So if I were the top player, sorry, let me rephrase that. I would let them ban first. They're going to ban Gambit because Gambit, just based on these matchups, is where we would want to be. If I'm the bottom player, this is a little scary, but we have two slightly, in my opinion, lower tiered heroes and slightly two lower tier heroes. So I'm banning Iceman because Iceman, I think, just blows these guys out of the water. They lack defense. He's going to hit really hard. He's going to go really fast, and they won't have enough to get over that hill. All right, let's roll this again. 3-4 bottom player. So in this matchup, this is interesting, right? Ooh, I think, honestly, I might actually take Moon Elf here, just because these guys' defense is not wildly strong, and she can actually do a lot with the evades and the defense that she has, especially against characters that swing big, like Santa Claus. So if I were the bottom player, and again, don't want to offend any Huntress players, but just based on my experience and what I'm comfortable with, I would probably pick Moon Elf, and I would go first. That's just what I think I would do here, because the undefendable isn't wildly scary into these two heroes' defenses. Also, I don't know if them picking Santa, because Santa likes to hit hard, and her defense is really, really strong, right? She can prevent half of it, basically half of the time, and with some dice mods and things like that, she can be pretty scary into heroes that swing really, really big. Now, again, based on my preference, if I were this top player, I know I'm going into Moon Elf. I probably would pick Santa, mostly because I've just never really had a good time playing Storm. She's kind of fun, but I just not my playstyle. And that would be how I would go this matchup. Moon Elf would go first, and we'd go from there. All right, let's do a couple more. Hopefully this is helping. If this is helpful, don't be afraid to say so in the comments. If this is just a waste of your time, let me know. Be like, hey, you're wrong on all of your takes. I think you're stupid. That works too. I really appreciate it. Okay. Ooh, this is actually a really good one. All right, let's have top player roll. They roll a 1. Bottom player rolls a 3. Bottom player is going to let top player ban first. So, let's see. Krampus is a little scary, but Monk is pretty good with Krampus. Black Widow's probably the scariest, so I would probably ban Black Widow first, and we'd be here. If I were this player, I would ban Monk, and then I think this is going to be tough for this top player, in my opinion. Okay, let's see. They roll a 5, we roll a 5, we roll a 6, they roll a 2. So bottom player, if I'm bottom player here, I want to go first. I want to get my setup in with either of these characters. Both of these characters have like a turn 1 setup process where she wants to get the, not reality warps, the crackles and the probability manipulations on the board early, and Krampus wants to scavenge to get the helpers out. Not helpers. What are they called? Rejects. Now, Scarlet Witch into Psylocke, that's a terrible matchup, because Psylocke has the manifest die, and she can kind of work around some of Scarlet Witch's stuff, also preventing some of the status effects. So I, in this process, would likely take Krampus and go first. And then if I were this top player, I probably would go Barbarian in this matchup. Again, I don't think Psylocke's going to get there. She does have agility and things like that, but Krampus has all those ways to do like the collateral damage, boom, 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 prevent CP. Krampus into Barbarian's also tough too, because he can keep up with his speed. He requires a little bit of setup, but he can kind of starve Barbarian of CP and things like that. So if I'm looking at this matchup, oof, this is a tough one. My personal thought, I don't know. This is a coin flip for me. I would probably go with Barbarian just because I like Barbarian, and I would try and just smash Krampus as hard as I can, as quick as I can to win the match. But that one, in my opinion, the bottom player definitely has the advantage. All right. Oh, I think I shuffled, just in case. All right, let's do it again. Ooh, okay. This is actually a lineup you probably would see in a competitive environment. The bottom one, not so much, just because of Samurai. Samurai is going to get destroyed by any of these three. So let's go ahead and roll. And this is an easy ban, not an easy ban. In my opinion, it's an easy ban for the top player. Okay, so they can not only say, okay, you can ban first, but then they're going to ban Iceman and go into this. So if I am the bottom player now having to ban first, Iceman into Cursed Pirate's a little scary. Gambit's going to be able to rush down these guys, although I may be able to manipulate a little bit. Jean Grey can get around defense. This not too scary in this matchup. So in this matchup, I think bottom player just loses because they're going to ban Iceman. All right, we're going to ban Cursed Pirate. They'll ban Iceman. And now I'm not thrilled about this matchup. I think top player would likely go. Okay, they roll a 2, they roll a 2, we roll a 5, they roll a 6. Okay, top player is going to pick first, go first. You don't really need a lot of undefendable into these because their defenses aren't wildly strong. So with Jean Grey being more of an undefendable kind of bursty character, I don't think I need to do that process here. I'd rather just win quickly. So I would pick first, go first, and I'd go Gambit. And then if I'm the bottom player, I'm going Doctor Strange. I just think that gives me the best chance into Gambit because I don't think Samurai survives that matchup. All right, let's do it again. Hopefully that was... can't remember if I shuffled this top one. There we go. Going too fast. All right, what do we got? Okay, all right. So let's take a second and talk about why I like some of these, right? So why I like some of these, this is just going to be overall, I want to smash your face, not a lot of undefendable damage. So if I'm going into like a weak defense or an opponent that can't just completely evade, Barbarian's pretty cool. Krampus has a lot more of a control element. So if I'm going into, let's say, Moon Elf, I feel pretty good about Krampus because I have undefendable and I have ways to slow down their CP. I don't feel as good with Barbarian going into Moon Elf because Moon Elf can evade a lot of things. And then in the same vein, Rogue is pretty good at just kind of everything. She's an adaptable character. She can influence to prevent your opponent from rolling additional things. She has evade elements. She has lifesteal. She has undefendable. So she's going to be a really nice flex option here. Monk is the same way. He can be offensive. He can be defensive. This opponent, even with Krampus doing the collateral, you can use your chi to prevent some of that damage. So like that's actually not a terrible matchup. Rogue can be an interesting matchup because of the influence and because of the lifesteal and things like that. Although Leech is kind of a trap, it's not her best ability. It's just ways to get around some of the monk's chi. And yeah, so that's kind of what I'd be looking at here. So top is going to roll. They roll 6, they roll 2. They let them ban first. If I'm the bottom player here, I'm probably banning either Krampus or Rogue. I mean, Krampus goes good into Moon Elf. All right, we would probably ban Rogue, I think. Yeah, because these ones don't really need... Yeah, so that would be the process there. And then the top player, I would either ban Monk or Krampus. I'd probably ban Monk. And then now we have Krampus. Probably Krampus into Krampus. 3-1. Yeah, I would pick Krampus. And then if I were top, I'd probably pick Krampus. And then we have a mirror match. And I'm picking Krampus because I think just the way you can manipulate your CP, the Barbarian's just going to struggle in that matchup. All right, so let's go again. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Boom, boom. Okay, very good. Boom, boom. All right, so let's roll top, roll bottom. 6-1, top player lets them ban first. If I'm looking at this top, I'm instantly banning Ninja just because that's the scariest matchup. Even for Monk, even for, Gambit, that's the scariest matchup in my opinion with the ability to smoke bomb, do undefendable damage, etc. Yeah, that's going to be my option there. Now, if I'm top player, this kind of sucks, right? Like that's why you really have to bring at least 2 heroes you feel are strong. Because in this matchup, I don't think either of these heroes have an over 50% win rate into any of these heroes. So really, any hero down here, I feel bad because it's not going to be great. Golly, yeah. So if I'm looking at this, yikes, this just sucks. Scarlet Witch can kind of be okay in some of these with the reality warp, but she has no defense, so she's going to crumble the Gambit. Yeah, I think I have to ban Gambit there just because the defense, his explosiveness into these guys' defensiveness is just scary, and they have no way of evading, right? Now we're still in a pickle because we don't have great heroes. They get pick first, go first, or yeah, geez. I mean, I would probably pick Scarlet Witch mostly because I don't really play Tacticianer very much. And then if I'm bottom, I'm feeling pretty good about this. One thing I'd consider, Reality Warp is her kind of main shtick, and then explosive damage with Crackle. So explosive damage, I have evades and cheese and things like that with Monk, and then I also have Smoke Bomb with Ninja. And my role objectives, Monk has, I mean, these both, their role objectives are not wildly easy to attain, but I think Monk is going to have the slightly easier role objectives, and I don't need as much undefendable going into Scarlet Witch because Scarlet Witch doesn't really have any good defense. So that would be how I would do that process there. Okay, let's do one more, and then maybe I can go a little bit further into like S tier. No, I'll do that for a different video. Okay, here we go. I'm going to put Barbarian back because we keep seeing him. Okay, this is actually probably one matchups you might see, right? So in these matchups, okay, let's roll first. So bottom player rolls a 5, top player rolls a 3. So bottom is going to let the top ban first. If I am the top player, I'm probably most afraid of Ninja into my Paladin. I'm most afraid of Gambit into my Artificer. And Vampire Lord into my Ninja is pretty scary because the Vampire Lord can just get rid of status effects and do things like that. Also, they can wait for Smoke Bomb to be gone and then do their Bloodlust or Steal and things like that. Gambit can likely rush down Artificer pretty quickly before Artificer can get set up. But Paladin's so good. So if I am the top player, if I'm the bottom player, Paladin is going to be pretty good into all three of these if he can find his defense. So I think I would ban Paladin here. As the top player, oh, whoops, I think I did that backwards. Whoops. Anyway, as the top player, I have Vampire Lord and Artificer. Artificer is susceptible to Rushdown. The scariest Rushdown is going to be Gambit. So I think if I can ban Gambit here, Artificer has a really good chance going into Ninja and Monk, in my opinion. We had to ban Paladin because Paladin is just going to be really, really good unless they ban Ninja. So in that scenario, banning Paladin kind of means Ninja is not going to be as strong. So if I'm the top player, I'm not banning Ninja because Ninja isn't as strong in these two as he is in the Paladin. So I would probably ban Gambit. And now we would go here. They roll a 4. We roll a 6. Now this is interesting, right? This is interesting. If I pick, well, no, it's not that interesting. Ninja into Artificer is not fun. Ninja into Vampire Lord also isn't that fun. So I'm probably going to go with Monk here. I have the cleanses to get rid of the bleeds. I have the chi and the evasiveness to get rid of those things. However, Artificer is going to be a tough matchup here because Artificer can just, it's going to take Monk a few turns to kind of get rolling and get set up and things like that with his chi and blah, blah, blah. It also takes Artificer going a couple turns to get going, but Artificer, I think, is going to be a lot stronger once he's set up, whereas Monk needs to kind of set up, do everything, set up, do everything, set up, do everything. So this one, I think, would actually go to the Artificer, but that's how I would go about that process. Okay, last one. Here we go. Oh, we got Raveness, huh? Raveness is going to be tough to talk about just because she's part of the Outcast and a little bit newer. So, wow. Okay. That was interesting. All right, here we go. Roll 4-2. I'm going to let them ban first. If I'm looking at this matchup, my biggest threat for potentially Black Widow I mean, Doctor Strange, not really. Deadpool can be a little scary just because of the sustain element, and Krampus can, again, just do a lot of things to Black Widow with the collateral damage and the coal. Gambit's also pretty scary. So if I'm the top player, or if I'm the top player and I have to ban first now, I would probably ban Krampus. And bottom player, I would ban Black Widow. And I would ban Black Widow because I think she's just going to be the scariest. I mean, this is tough. I'm not afraid of Treant in these two matchups. I'm afraid of both of these. And that's why, again, when you're building a top three, you can't just show up with random heroes because this is going to be a tough matchup. Gambit's going to hit really, really hard, and we really have almost no way to get around it. We have rock, paper, scissors to mitigate some of it, but it's just going to be tough. You can do the crimson bans to, prevent them from playing cards and things like that. But this is just going to be a tough one. I think, oh man, maybe I would ban Gambit here and then try and take my Deadpool into Black Widow and see if I can just sustain it. Because Gambit just can be so scary without any ways to really stop him consistently. But Black Widow's an S tier and terrifyingly good. Time bombs and things like that without the ability to get rid of them and things. All right, let's just say I ban Gambit there. 6-6, 1-5. So they would pick Black Widow because Treant's just not going to pan out. And now I have Deadpool into Black Widow or Doctor Strange into Black Widow. I mean, honestly, they're both okay. They're both going to be okay. It's going to be a grindy game. I think I would probably just go Deadpool here, mostly because I'm very comfortable with Deadpool. He can. Doctor Strange doesn't really have the ability to rush. He's not a fast character. He's not going to do a ton of damage in turn 2 or 3. Whereas Deadpool, if you can get some automatopoeias online, if you can get some things going quickly, you can just start stringing large straight into large straight into large straight. So then by turn 4, Black Widow's finally set up, but she's also at 10 health, whereas Deadpool's maybe at 33. And it's still a little scary there because of agilities and things like that, but that would be my strategy here is Deadpool, and I would just try and play a rush down Deadpool. So thank you guys for watching. Appreciate you guys supporting me. Again, I would love any feedback, any suggestions on next videos, anything you want to see. But hopefully this kind of walks you guys through maybe some of the process of when you're choosing your heroes, how to go about the matchups and things like that. I'm not perfect. I am just a regular competitive player. I don't have a perfect win rate. I don't have time to play with every single hero and master every single champion. But hopefully this was a helpful process, and I appreciate you guys watching, and stay tuned for more. Thank you.